And our midterm scorecard series continues. Across Nigeria, we're taking stock of promises made and progress delivered as elected leaders mark 2 years in office. From state capitals to federal ministries, we're holding power to account, sector by sector, issue by issue. On the show today, we'll begin in Plateau State with Governor Caleb Mutfwang as we unpack his administration's response to the security crisis, rising infrastructure, and the future of governance in the Middle Belt. What's working, what's not, and what lies ahead? Join me as we go beyond the headlines to the heart of performance, policy, and politics. On the show today, we journey to the heart of Nigeria's Middle Belt, where the winds of change have met the storm of crisis. It's been nearly 2 years since Governor Caleb Mutfwang took office, inheriting not just a mandate, but a mountain of long-standing security threats, economic concerns, and a deeply divided polity. Yet in the midst of grief and uncertainty, his administration has rolled out ambitious reforms, from revitalizing transportation and civil service systems to breathing new life into Plateau's economy. But beneath the commendations are still urgent questions about safety, about political loyalty, about governance, and about what the future holds for a state that remains in many ways a mirror of Nigeria's greatest tests. So tonight, we ask the hard questions. What has worked? What hasn't? Who's really behind the bloodshed that refuses to cease? And with speculation swirling, is the governor preparing to jump political ships ahead of 2027? Joining me now is the Executive Governor of Plateau State, His Excellency Caleb Mutfwang. Thank you for joining us on Beyond the Headlines.
Thank you, Difemi. Good evening, viewers.
Glad to have you join us again. In just a few days, you'll mark your second year in office. How time flies. I still remember our very first conversation right here on this show after your victory in 2023. Let me start by thanking you for keeping your words, because you mentioned that we could call you at any time. We've had a couple of conversations since then. Thank you, Mr. Governor.
Thank you, Difemi.
All right.
It's been an interesting journey. It's been a journey full of mixed feelings. It's been a journey of successes and setbacks. But through it all, we give God the glory. I think what we have done, one of the successes we have recorded in the last 2 years, which may appear intangible, but it's a great success, is that we have restored the hopes of people in governance, in government, and people now know that government is there for them. It's their government, and they expect that when we promise, we deliver. And what we've tried to do in the last 2 years is to walk the talk. Yes, we are not where we wanted to be, but certainly the journey has started.
It's been anything but a smooth ride. Plateau State has faced some of its darkest security challenges in the past few years. Looking back now, were you fully prepared for the scale of what you met? And how have these realities, in a way, reshaped your priorities and your leadership approach?
Yeah, well, was I prepared for what I met? I think I leave that question for posterity to judge. But certainly there is no way you could have known everything that you would confront in your journey in governance. There are things, it is only when you sit on the seat I'm sitting on that they open up to you. But I think my life preparation has actually prepared me to be able to confront the situations that I've met, to take tough decisions, to be able to accommodate people, to be able to lift up people out of their troubles, and so on and so forth. I wouldn't say I've been perfect, but I thank God that at least we have not crashed under the weight of expectations. We wish we could have done more, But certainly, what, like I said earlier, we have given people a new lease of life, and they know that when we talk, we walk the talk.
Let us begin with the issue of insecurity. We've seen some proactive steps by your government, like the ban on night grazing, restrictions on cattle movement, suspension of mining, reactivation of
Sorry,
Operation
Difemi,
Rainbow.
the volume is diminishing at your end.
Oh, can you hear me now, Mr. Governor? Can you?
Yes.
Okay. I was saying that I wanted us to begin with the issue of insecurity because we've seen your government take certain steps, banning night grazing, coming up with a lot of unique ideas to fight the insurgency. But it seems that we are seeing some form of contradiction, irrespective of all of the effort you have made. How is your government adjusting to strategy in real time? Specifically, what have you identified to be the challenge? Because you have mentioned that you were ready to name some of the people, behind this challenge. What is really going on when it comes to insecurity in Plateau State?
Thank you, Difemi. I think the challenge of insecurity on the plateau, like you know, is not something that just began yesterday. It is something that we've had to deal with over the last close to 30 years or thereabout. Again, I would say the main problem with this challenge on the plateau is the mischaracterization of the nature of the conflict. For too long a time, we had played political correctness with living in denial that these things had a connotation of genocide, a connotation of terrorism, and so on and so forth. What we have decided to do is to call a spade a spade. I keep challenging those who parade the narrative of farmers' herders clash, that you don't have a clash where there are two contending parties are not equal. One is more armed than the other. And in several cases, one is armed, the other is not armed at all. You don't call that a clash. Now, there has been a lot of dynamism in the factors behind the insecurity. A lot of issues have come in. Now, even though I would have gladly tried to play down on the issues of religion and ethnicity, sometimes these things get thrown to the forefront, because if the attackers are from one religion, the victims are from another religion, you can't persuade the victim otherwise that this had a religious connotation. But having said that, we've been trying to deal this hydra-headed situation as much as we can. And basically, as you know, you are breaking into two compartments, kinetic and non-kinetic. For the kinetic, we have to rely on the federal security agencies. And sometimes they are not at their best. Sometimes they are demotivated. Sometimes they are handicapped. To be honest with you, I think by and large, the Nigerian security forces are doing a lot, with little. And sometimes we can't blame them because of structural handicaps that they confront. But beyond that, we have engaged in a lot of dialogue, intra and inter-community dialogue, to see how we deal with the non-kinetic dimension, to deal with those tendencies towards religion and ethnicity, like I mentioned earlier. And I think so far, we've been able to avert a lot of killings. While the killings are painful, regrettable, I want you to know that if we had not done what we have done over the last 2 years, the situation would have been much worse. And what we would have been dealing with, perhaps, is a situation of the conflict in the Middle East, which we pray that, God forbid, it will not happen. But by and large, I would think that we are returning to stability. Yes, there are skirmishes here and there. There are sporadic killings here and there. but on a large scale, like had happened in the last 2 months, I think to God be the glory, we've been able to tame that situation.
So if it is not farmers herders clash, what is it? I was hoping you could, hit the nail on the head. I recall having the Benue State governor here a few weeks ago who mentioned that this wasn't a Fulani herdsman issue, that it was some foreign herders who are taking advantage of our porous borders, and it was heavily criticized for that. Who are the people attacking your people? Have you been able to identify them?
Thank you, Nifemi. You know, as a governor sitting on this seat, a lot of the times you don't want to jeopardize some of the efforts that are ongoing. But I've said this clearly, that what the pattern we have seen in the last couple of years is suggestive of genocide, is suggestive of terrorism, and what we have kept doing is to turn over the information to the security agencies, the Directorate of State Services, the police, the civil defense, the Defense Intelligence Agency. I believe they are better suited to answer this question as to who are the killers. But more importantly, Nifemi, we must go beyond who are the killers to also identify who are the sponsors of these killers. The amount of arms in the hands of people now is quite alarming. And I do not think that the security agencies are unaware. During the Buhari regime, we heard that some people with Bureau de Change were suspected to be channeling funds to these terrorists. But up till now, we've not heard anything about it. Now, so part of the reason why this situation has remained as tenuous as it is and continue to escalate in certain places is because we've not been able to bring people to book. Unfortunately for me as a governor, it is not within my domain, my jurisdiction to be able to handle some of these issues. It is rather the responsibility of the federal security agencies to deal with these issues. And I would rather remain within the sphere of my responsibility to be able to facilitate their work and make sure they do their best according to the best of their abilities.
We're going to talk about how much help you think you're getting from the federal government. But for many residents in Plateau, you are the chief security officer, and they look to you for help when crises like this happen. Recently, you called for community self-defense. There are those who fear this could open the door to vigilantism. I'm wondering how you draw the line between protecting lives and preserving lawful order as a strategy to resolve this matter.
Yeah, as you know, Nifemi, I've been an unapologetic supporter of state police. I believe in Nigeria we already have state police. The Amotekun in the southwest is an example. We have the Operation Rainbow here. Now, it is better for us as a country to make these things lawful, legitimate, so that we can be able to control, to manage, to regulate, rather than allow non-state actors to take the stage, and they are doing things we do not understand. But having said that, yes, there are fears that have been expressed in various quarters as to the unregulated raid of vigilante groups. But you cannot tell any man to protect his household. It's a given. Every man has a responsibility to protect his household. And if you find a community, then definitely it is the responsibility of members of that community to ensure that there are no intrusions in their midst, and that when there are security breaches in their midst, they know how to deal with it. I'm not advocating lawless carrying of guns by people, but if we can find a mechanism, and I'm glad the DG of SSS had said we can always fall back on their advice, and that's what we are doing. we are not doing anything outside the ambit of law. Even the vigilante, we make sure that they are profiled by the security agencies. And most of the time, what they resort to doing is nothing but gathering intelligence, which they must turn over to the security agencies. And so we continue to mobilize community engagement, community vigilance, to ensure that those who want to pounce on them with an element of surprise do not have their way. So yes, community policing is an absolute necessity and is a right that you cannot deny anybody that he can be able to defend his household.
Let me just quickly follow up on something you talked about earlier, because you have repeatedly promised to reveal the identities of those behind these killings. And when you spoke earlier, you talked about that now being the responsibility of federal security agencies. But there's a sense to which your people also feel like you know who these people are. Why are you not calling them out? What should Plateau citizens, for instance, expect in this long-awaited disclosure? You recently inaugurated 11-member fact-finding committee. Is there anything you know that you can share as to some update in this regard?
Yeah, thank you. To overflow this issue, like you mentioned, we've set up a fact-finding committee. I like, as much as possible, not to preempt that committee. So we would like those who have been eyewitnesses and victims of a lot of these acts of insurgency, they will come forward and tell the committee what we saw, the people we believe attacked us, what our grievances are, and then we'll be able to have an official platform to channel this. If I say anything now, is my word against theirs, which is not beneficial. But let me assure the people of Plateau State that there is no one that we suspect that has a hand in the crisis that will allow to go scot-free. We'll continue to trouble those with responsibility to ensure they do the needful until such people are brought to book. This is our commitment to the people of Plateau State. So it's not just about coming on TV and making allegations. Sometimes we even jeopardize the investigation. So I'd rather keep it at this level, but let the people be assured that we have their back, that we will go to every length to ensure that justice is meted out to the victims of these madness that we have witnessed over this couple of years.
You have acknowledged in the past that you've acknowledged President Tinubu's support in addressing the security challenge. How would you assess the federal government's overall response to what the state needs right now?
Yeah, well, I'm not privy to what is happening in every state of the Federation, but I want to confirm and to put on record that each time there has been any breach of security on the plateau, Mr. President has shown concern, and I want to thank him most immensely. Not only has he shown concern, but he puts the heads of security agencies on their toes, and then they rise to the occasion. A lot of the times, I would not be able to create that momentum without the support of the president. And I want to place on record that he's been very gracious in that regard. Of course, we are also working at seeing how we can get assistance of every kind, pecuniary and otherwise, to be able to address the situations we confront in terms of access to those communities, in terms of communication, because many of these are rural communities that come under attack, rural border communities that are quite vulnerable. But I can assure you that without the support of Mr. President, we would not have been able to gain such traction, and we remain immensely grateful.
You have also linked insecurity to drug abuse and internal sabotage within security agencies. Are you getting as much support with federal agencies to root out this fifth columnist? Would you say that trust is being built amongst law enforcement agencies you have to work with on the plateau?
Yeah, thank you. The security agencies are not angels. They are human beings like us. And so you're going to find that they too are facing challenges that every human being faces. Sometimes I truly pity them because they've stayed on the battlefront for too long. And so many of them, you find that they are also getting exasperated. And sometimes when they cannot manage those situations, they transfer the aggression to the communities around. But such elements, we try to fish them out and to let their commanders know that this is a challenge we are facing with one of your men. So, but on the whole, we must thank the security agencies for putting their lives at our disposal. You know, it is true that, yes, they are being paid, but I don't think what they are doing is commensurate with the pay they are getting. And so we must remain grateful to them. We are doing our own little, we have our own little challenges, but we are also continuously and constantly looking for ways and means to motivate those men in the security agencies so that they can give out their best. So for now, all I can say is that, yes, we have had and enjoyed the support of Mr. President, but more importantly, I can tell you that he has given clear directives to the heads of security agencies to work with us. That's why we have been privileged to have extra deployments, for example. We have more boots on ground. We have more equipment to deal with the insurgency. What we are hoping will build up more in the couple of days to come is our intelligence gathering mechanism that helps us to nip issues in the bud before they escalate.
So we're getting a lot of reaction online as this conversation is going on. Residents in Plateau are asking quite a number of questions. If you don't mind, we'd like to keep you a little longer because I understand that despite the security crisis, you have also been credited with some significant infrastructure and social sector reform. If you don't mind, we'll go on a short break and we'll be right back to talk more. Stay with us, everyone. Governor Caleb Mutfwang is my guest on the show this evening. He joins us live from Plateau. Thank you so much for staying the course on the program, Your Excellency. We're looking at road networks across 17 local government areas, improvements in health, education, and agriculture. Civil service reform is highly being reported as an highlight of your administration, and paying decades-old pensions to reducing the state debt from about 400 billion to 94 billion. But just how sustainable are these reforms? You know, we just moved on from the issue of insecurity, and what mechanisms ensure that they are not reversed either by future governments or by the challenges that you have to face with on a daily basis?
Yes, thank you, Nifemi. You know, we came in on the backdrop of disappointment by the people towards government, where they felt government was not living up to expectation. And like I told you earlier on, what we have succeeded in doing is to rebuild trust, to rebuild hope. And that's why we've done that very carefully by managing resources as prudently as possible. Yes, in terms of volume of money that has come in from the Federation account, it has increased in terms of quantity. But let me make this very clear, that when we checked what we have received in the last 2 years against the backdrop of what the previous administration had received vis-a-vis the exchange rate, we have actually received less. But what we have done differently is that we've tried to manage as prudently as possible the resources at our disposal. And so we've invested in healthcare, both from the primary healthcare level to the tertiary level. We've invested in education. We've stabilized the educational system. When we came in it was a system nearing collapse, where even accreditations were about to be withdrawn in our tertiary institutions. So we had to quickly make investments to stabilize them. As I'm talking to you, there's a lot of improvement and expansion in our tertiary institutions of learning. We have also been able to invest in the transport sector. It's one of our most visible investments, where we introduced the metro buses. Now, the interesting thing about the metro buses, that it is a very innovative way of cash transfer to our citizens. Instead of giving them raw cash, they get it through these transport subsidies. And we've been able to use that through the metro buses. We are the only state in Nigeria, I believe, that has collaborated with the Nigerian Railway Corporation to revive the railway services within the city, which we are also doing at a huge cost to government to move people and goods. I'm told that our metro buses have been moving at least 9,000 people each day, which is quite significant. And to God be the glory, we just added to the fleet with another 15 buses. And I want to let Nigerians know, and I'd like you to prove me wrong, that these buses are brand new, they are not refurbished, and we've been able to deploy resources in that regard. We are looking at how to improve youth empowerment, how to create jobs. We are looking at, but the thing is that these things don't happen overnight. One of our also great areas of impact is in road infrastructure, both within the city, and then we are beginning to go to the local government areas to revive abandoned road projects. Road projects that began probably 10, 12 years ago were abandoned by the last administration. And we thought that since these roads were well thought through, that we should go back to them and see to their effective completion. That's what we are doing so far, in a nutshell. I can't touch every sector within the span of this discourse, but I can assure you that to God be the glory. We are doing the much we can.
Recently directed all the commissioners in your cabinet to present their scorecards publicly. Are you planning a cabinet reshuffle? Should Plateau residents expect to see some new faces?
Oh, we just had a cabinet reshuffle in February.
Maybe you are planning another one.
Has not formally informed you. We had a cabinet reshuffle. We rejigged the cabinet, and we are satisfied with the people we have on board thus far.
So what's the essence of this scorecard if it is not to check whether they are performing or not?
Well, the essence of the scorecard is to give the citizens an opportunity to hold the officials of government responsible, to let them know what we have done and what we are doing, where we are going. It's about citizen engagement. We see ourselves as servants of the people, and therefore we must render account. And so the essence of this briefing is to let the people know how we are utilizing their funds, and so that if they have issues that we need to listen to, we can listen to them. And I'm sure that thus far, that has been the objective we've been pursuing.
You just give us a long list of what you consider achievements and what you've been able to do. Would you be honest to also identify publicly if there are gaps you have observed, in governance and even within your cabinet's performance, and how you're planning to close them in your third year?
Oh, absolutely, Femi. It will be irresponsible of me to sit here and tell you that we've done everything right. Certainly, there are gaps. Your success, if you are to measure it on a scale of 50 to 100, you're going to find that different departments of government will score differently. But on the whole, I take responsibility. I know that there's a lot to be done. We are not satisfied with everything we have done in any sector. For us, we are just scratching. What you have seen so far is the tip of the iceberg. We are determined to do more. The vision, the burden we have for Plateau State is much bigger than what you're seeing now. We thank God for people appreciating the little we have done, but I can tell you our dreams are much bigger than this. So certainly there are gaps, and we hope that we'll utilize the coming year or two to be able to address some of those gaps. But in any event, governance is a continuum. People would come after us, and we hope that we would have laid sufficiently a sound foundation for them to continue where we have stopped.
Your brother, Governor Abdullahi Sule, was on the show earlier this week. I think it was the same day he came to Plateau. Both of you recently opposed the proposed scrapping of state independent electoral commissions at a national conference. What exactly is at stake for Plateau if these commissions are dissolved?
Well, thank you, Nifemi. It's not about what is at stake for Plateau. We are a stakeholder in the Nigerian Federation, and we also think that the way the Nigerian Federation should be headed to is to have more of true federalism. By true federalism, it means that there are certain functions and powers that should naturally be decentralized, and I think that is the way to go. It gives people a sense of belonging. It helps them to know that they are stakeholders as well. I therefore have vehemently opposed the scrapping of state independent electoral commissions. I think it is self-serving. It does not help in any way. People have complained about the lack of independence of the commissions, and then, of course, the issue of poor funding. But I think that for us on the Plateau, we've tried to put a lie on some of those factors, because in our local government elections conducted last year, I think we raised the bar. We tried to show that elections can be conducted free and fair, and to a large extent, the number of councillors that won seats from opposition parties was quite amazing, was quite interesting. I remember some of the traditional politicians calling on us to reverse those successes, and we said, no, that's the essence of democracy. We've also tried to make sure we selected men of good character to lead such an institution. We've also made sure that we try to provide funding as much as we can. But I think for us as a nation, we must go forward. Sometimes we take a step forward and we move 2 steps backward. It's not healthy. It's not correct. It's not proper. If we tie into global best practices, there are many, many things that we're trying to do at the state and federal level that are being done by local governments. That's why I've been a strong advocate, not of autonomy, but efficiency. And I've worked at that level. I know how the system is operating. And I think that if we discuss more about efficiency, we'll get the local governments to pay a good dividend to their citizens. And so for me, the status of the State Independent Electoral Commission is not about Plateau, it's about the nation.
I hear you and I get your point. But when you talked about how the local government election went, there are 2 ways to look at it. We can say diversity speaks to free and fairness of the exercise. But we can also now put on some spotlight on what's happening in your state politically, because as PDP governor, we have seen a significant support for you coming from the APC. I just read a news article earlier on today about an APC stakeholder endorsing you for a 2nd term. So I'm wondering how you navigate this cross-party dynamic. I mean, that same stakeholder, APC stakeholder forum endorsed President Tinubu, and then they are endorsing you for a 2nd term.
That's the beauty of politics on the Plateau. Irrespective of the political platform that we were voted on, there is a platform we like to call the Plateau People's Party. That is the platform on which all Plateau people are gathered to be able to project the interests and the image of Plateau State. We want to ensure that irrespective of your political loyalty, there's a Plateau agenda that we pursue. And therefore, what is the agenda? The agenda is to advance the interest of Plateau State within the Committee of States in Nigeria. We want to ensure that Plateau is properly positioned on the discussion table at the national level, and so that we can be able to attract all the dividends that aid development. So with the little we have done, I can assure you that we enjoy a robust support base across party lines. And for me, I know that once elections are over, governance is the focus. And I'm the governor not just of PDP, but I'm the governor of everybody on the plateau, irrespective of political platform.
But what does that mean for your political alignment? Because many of your contemporaries in the PDP have now decamped to the ruling APC. And we are also paying close attention to your visible collaboration with the Tinubu-led federal government and support from APC figures in Plateau. Will you remain in the PDP, or are you considering a defection to the APC?
Nifemi, I'm a PDP man. I'm in PDP, and nothing has changed for me to leave PDP. I still believe in the PDP, and like I told you, I believe that even the president, with whom I've enjoyed a very good relationship, is because he knows that we are trying to do the best for our people. I believe that if we were doing poorly, Mr. President would not like to identify with us and encourage us. And so I think some of these political decisions and commentaries are a little bit too early for me because we still have a lot to do for our people. We're dealing with a lot of issues that we should not be distracted about political alignments. But having said that, I want you to know that ultimately, two people will decide my political direction, God and the people of Plateau State. I leave it at that.
Today, you are going to follow their lead as long as you have the backing of God. But let us talk about the interesting development within your party. You are focusing on governance, no doubt, but I'm sure you are aware that it is, politics forms the base for which you govern. Are you not bothered about the developments within the PDP? I mean, the entire PDP structure in Delta State recently just moved to the APC. We hear that some 5 governors are also moving to join them. We don't know whether you are one of them. But how bothered are you about current or recent developments within the opposition party?
Well, I think for me, yes and no. I will tell you that PDP still remains a solid party. I don't think that many of the speculations going on about the status of PDP, it's not an issue that I think we should worry about too much. In any event, I believe that very soon, before the year runs out, a lot of these issues would have been fully sorted out, and we'll be able to position the party on the right footing. I believe that the PDP is a well-structured party, and it will overcome the challenges that it is facing at the moment. All we keep, I hear a lot of speculations. And in politics, I learned not to deal with speculations. I like to see things unfold before I make a comment. At the moment, during every election cycle, there are a lot of movements and realignments and alignments. And it's not strange that we're seeing that happen in 2027. But towards 2027. But every man's context is different. The context of my brother Sheriff in Delta may be quite different from what is happening in Akwa Ibom, and will definitely be different from what is happening on the plateau. And so every man will carry his cross. Every man will decide how to deal with his own context at the right time. For me, I try to remain focused. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Tomorrow will take care of itself. So I'm more bothered about what is happening now for my people.
I don't know if it was an accident that you mentioned Delta, Akwa Ibom, and Plateau in the same breath, because I'm sure you're aware, we're not dwelling on speculations here, that the Akwa Ibom state governor just told his commissioners that if he moves to APC tomorrow, they all must follow him if they are going to retain their seat. And just yesterday, 22 APC governors endorsed President Tinubu for a second term. What do you see happen in the next 2 years with all of this support coming for the president? Do you think your party has a chance, to make a statement in the presidential election of 2027?
That's why I said, Nifemi, some of these conversations, you don't try to squeeze a boil before it matures. Let's leave things; they will take care of themselves. I mentioned Delta and Akwa Ibom because, like you rightly pointed out, they are in the news. I've not had the privilege of discussing with them to know why they did what they did, but I'm sure they have their reasons. And if it is okay with them, it is okay with their people, so be it. But I want to assure you that the PDP is not dead yet. I want you to know that 2027 is in the hands of God. And I know that God will direct our right and cause his will to be done.
We have to go now quickly. What should Plateau residents expect in the second half of your administration?
Oh, absolutely. They should expect more. They should expect better. They should expect greater things to happen. We are more focused than ever. We are more determined than ever. It is now we are beginning to get our acts right. And we are more focused on governance now than ever. We've been able to gain momentum in several respects, but we are looking at getting into other spheres of endeavor. One of our areas we are looking at critically is how to move the agri sector. We want to develop agribusiness, and it's anchored around our youth. Just this afternoon, my state government signed an MOU with the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture to provide us with advisory services in terms of agribusiness. And we're engaging a lot of developmental partners. As you know, we're one of the states that have pursued vigorously the onboarding of the Special Agro-Processing Zone being financed by the African Development Bank. And therefore, we're looking at how to boost agricultural production and make sure that we cover the two seasons, both dry season and wet season. Dry season, of course, with irrigation. We're looking at how to be able to unlock the mining sector so that we can be able to gain more dividends from these natural resources. And I can tell you that another area that Nigeria will look out for us very soon is in the area of tourism. Already, I want to inform you that Jos hotels have one of the highest room occupation rates in the country. If you come into Jos anyhow, you may not find an hotel to sleep because they are fully booked. And so we are on the right course. These are our economic drivers, and we're pursuing them with all vigor. So I want to assure the people of Plateau State that there is more to come. There is better to come. There is greater to come by the grace of God.
We wish you the very best, Governor Caleb Mutfwang. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you, Nifemi, for this opportunity. And I wish you guys all the best. Thank you.
Glad to have you, Mr.